Hey, Griff Hamlin here. Today I have a video for you about something that you can use if you're ever in a jam session. Like, let's say you go to a local club, local pub, or hang out with some friends, and there's a drummer and a bass player, whatever, and you need a rhythm groove that's going to be easy to play because you're going to be nervous. Let's face it. The first time you go in and you do a jam session, you're going to be really, really nervous. And so what's really cool is to play something that's easy, so you're going to feel confident, so when you get in, you're not going to make mistakes. And the other thing about it is that because it's easy and it's small and sparse, it won't get in the way. If there's a guy doing a solo, if there's another guitar player, if there's a piano player, whatever, this is a simple little groove. It's done with 2 fingers, just the first and second finger. You'll use your third and fourth fingers a little bit for muting if you want to. It helps, and I'll show you how to do that as we go. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do kind of a shuffle blues in A feel. I'm going to show you how to play these really simple chords. There's just 2 notes, and I'll show you how to move them. It's very easy. Move them by 1 fret at a time. It's totally easy. And so let's get going on it. Now, hopefully, you are familiar with the A7 bar chord shape. So I'm here. This is a 5th fret bar. 3rd finger is on the 7th fret of the 5th string. I'm barring the 4th string. My middle finger is on the 6th fret of the 3rd string, and I'm barring the top 2 strings. And that's A7, and it's the first chord in an A blues. So we're going to actually get rid of most of this. When you're playing with a whole group, if there's a bass player, he's playing the low end. So if you play the low end also, it's just going to get kind of muddy. So this is all that we're going to do is we're going to take away everything but these 2 notes. So what I have here is I have just the 5th fret on the 4th string, and I have the 6th fret on the 3rd string. And that's 2 of the notes from that A7 shape. And that's all I'm going to play. So when the band's playing A7, I'm just going to play that. Now, as far as the muting goes, you'll notice that I'm actually strumming the chord. And notice that I got a lot of muting going on. Okay, what's happening with my left hand? My thumb is actually barely touching the low E string in case I hit it. Now, if you can't reach the low E string, it's not a big deal. If I didn't hit the low E string, I just have to be a little bit more careful with my picking hand. But since I can reach it, I don't have very big hands. I'm not very good at like doing the thumb stuff, like the Hendrix stuff, but I can at least reach far enough to just barely touch a string and deaden it, and that's really not too hard. My first finger is pushing on this 4th string note, but also the tip of it is barely touching the 5th string. My middle finger here is of course hitting that note on the 3rd string. And it's also kind of anchored and angled in such a way that it's touching the 2nd string with the back. As well, my first finger, if I take away my middle finger, my first finger is muting those top 3 strings. It kind of lays flat across them. So the middle finger is almost unnecessary for muting out the 2nd string, but it happens to be touching it. So this is great because not only is this a really easy chord, but you kind of have to play it sloppy. They always tell you to use the very tips of your fingers. That would be lousy on this chord. And this one you kind of actually have to be sloppy. And for muting, getting rid of dead strings, or getting rid of strings that you want to be dead, this is something that you have to do a lot. So that's my A7 chord. Now the rhythm that I'm going to do is pretty simple. I'm only going to strum on beats 2 and 4. But you'll notice that my right hand is going to keep moving. It'll just kind of move along with the beat. So the beat is just 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, and it just keeps going. Well, I'm only going to strum on 2 and 4. That's called the backbeat. It's very common in blues and rock music. So it's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now you'll notice that when on beats 1 and 3, my 3rd finger and my 4th finger lay down there to mute things out. That's how I do it. It's not the only way to do it, I kind of relax my first and second fingers, my third and fourth fingers come down, and I just lay across and kill everything. You have to kill the strings somehow, otherwise they're going to ring out. There's only two ways to kill strings, left hand or right hand. So my right hand is, when I'm strumming, my right hand is usually kind of busy grooving, and if I leave it on the strings, you know, if I had some overdrive, you'd really hear that coming through. So I can't really use my right hand in this case because I'm strumming. So I'm just going to have my left hand do all the muting. So it's going to be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and... Okay, and that's the 1 chord. Now, here's the cool part. The next chord is a D7. Now, usually, I would actually play a D9, which is this. If you're not familiar with this shape, it's middle finger on the 5th fret of the 5th string. First finger is on the 4th fret of the 4th string. My third finger lays across the 5th fret on the top 3 strings. But here's the thing, where my first and in this case third finger are literally 1 fret away from where my A7 was. Now for you theory geeks out there, the low note here is the flat 7 and the higher note is the 3rd. Well, when I go down a half step, they invert. So the lower note is the 3rd and the higher note is the flat 7. So here's my A7, which I was doing with 2 fingers. My D7, I just move it down 2 frets, and it's D7, and that's all there is to it. And again, I'm just playing 2 notes out of it, but you'll see when I turn on the jam track and fire it up with the band, it works really, really well. So when it's time to go back, and I'm going to do the same rhythm, so it's just nothing changes past that. When it's time to go back, I move it back to the A. When it's time to go up to the E, well, I go up a half step, 1 fret. And I'm at E. Again, it's that E9, and I'm just taking a little part of it. Now here's the big move, is to go from E7 to D7, I actually have to jump down 2 frets. Ooh. And then I gotta go back to the A7, which is in the middle. So I have A7, D7, A7, E7. And that's it. That's all 3 chords of the blues.